Words can cut deeper than swords. They build alliances, shatter relationships, and reveal the essence of your character. So, let me ask you this. When you speak, do your words reflect intelligence, self-mastery, and purpose? Or do they betray insecurities you might not even notice? What if there were 6 simple principles rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy that could transform the way you communicate forever? The ancient Stoics understood a profound truth, that every word you utter shapes the world around you, carving your legacy in the minds of others. This is not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about embodying wisdom in every interaction, every moment, every breath. Take a moment to think. How many times have you regretted saying something? How many relationships have been strained, opportunities lost, or reputations damaged, not by your actions, but by a single careless phrase? Now, imagine a world where your words consistently build bridges, inspire trust, and reflect the strength of your inner character. If that resonates with you, this video is your blueprint. Together, we'll explore 6 things an intelligent person never says, backed by the timeless teachings of Stoic philosophy. But before we continue, let me ask you to pause for just a second. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who values growth and self-mastery. Because learning together is the essence of wisdom. This isn't about perfection, and it's certainly not about pretending to have all the answers. It's about understanding that growth is a journey, one where we recognize our flaws, learn from them, and rise above them. This video will challenge you to reflect deeply, to rethink old habits, and to embrace the idea that intelligence isn't just about what you know, it's about how you express what you know. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." So let's begin. 1. Avoid boasting about knowledge. Knowledge is power, they say, but only when wielded with humility and purpose. Many of us, at some point, have fallen into the trap of boasting about what we know. Maybe it felt validating, an opportunity to prove ourselves, to assert our intellect. But here's the paradox. The more we boast, the less intelligent we seem. Why? Because true intelligence isn't about telling others what we know, it's about showing it through our actions and insights. Boasting often comes from a place of insecurity, a subtle, even unconscious need to be recognized, to validate our worth. But what happens when we let our need for recognition overtake our wisdom? The result is often isolation, misunderstanding, or worse, a damaged reputation. As Stoic philosophy teaches us, restraint is a sign of strength. Words should never be used as a shield for insecurity, but as tools for clarity and connection. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, reminds us of a simple yet profound truth. Stop talking about what a good man is like. Just be one. In other words, it's not about proclaiming your intelligence or virtues to the world, it's about living them. When you boast, you create noise. When you act, you create impact. The Stoics believed that knowledge is not something to parade around, but something to live by. They viewed intelligence as quiet, not loud, unshakable, not boastful. Consider this. If you walk into a room and confidently solve a problem without drawing attention to yourself, people will notice. They may not praise you immediately, but they'll respect you. Contrast this with the person who loudly announces their solution before offering it. The former gains admiration through actions, the latter seeks validation through words. Let me share a story, a moment from the workplace that many of you might relate to. Imagine a team meeting where a new project is being discussed. The leader poses a complex problem to the group. Before anyone else can contribute, one person jumps in and begins explaining every detail of what they know, facts, theories, past experiences, without pause. At first, it seems impressive. They clearly know a lot. But as the monologue continues, something shifts. The rest of the team stops engaging. Eyes glaze over. The speaker's need to showcase their knowledge has overshadowed the purpose of the meeting: collaboration. What's worse, when solutions are finally implemented, no one remembers the speaker's input. Why? Because their words felt more self-serving than helpful. Now think of another colleague, quiet, observant. They listen intently, absorb the discussion, and speak only when they have something valuable to add. Their contribution is concise, impactful, and relevant. That's the person the team respects. This contrast isn't uncommon. Boasting creates distance. Wisdom creates connection. Now, let's reflect. Have you ever worked with, or perhaps been, the person who talked more than they needed to? What did you notice about the dynamics in that situation? Or, on the flip side, have you ever met someone whose actions spoke louder than their words? Someone who inspired you simply by their quiet confidence? Share your experiences in the comments below. By reflecting on these scenarios, we start to understand the subtle but powerful impact of humility in communication. And as we move forward, keep this question in mind: how can your words serve others rather than serve your ego? 2. Never dismiss others' opinions. Listening is often underestimated in its power. For many, disagreements become a battleground, a place to prove their point, dismantle the other person's argument, and emerge as the winner. But the truth is, when we dismiss others' opinions outright, we lose more than we gain. An intelligent person understands that listening, even to viewpoints they find challenging, is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It reflects emotional maturity, intellectual curiosity, and a willingness to grow. Dismissing someone's perspective, however tempting it may be in the moment, shuts the door to understanding and connection. We all crave validation in conversation, and when we deny someone that basic acknowledgement, when we signal, whether through words or body language, that their perspective is irrelevant, we do more harm than we realize. Even when we're right, we lose the opportunity to influence, to educate, or to foster mutual respect. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, offered a timeless reminder: we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This simple observation is profound. It underscores the Stoic principle of humility, recognizing that our understanding is never complete and that every interaction has something to teach us. By listening more than we speak, we allow ourselves the space to truly comprehend the other person's perspective. The Stoics also believed in practicing restraint. They understood that the heat of disagreement often clouds judgment and escalates conflict. Listening, even in disagreement, helps temper emotions and encourages thoughtful responses over reactive ones. Think about it. When someone feels truly heard, they are far more likely to consider your perspective in return. Conversely, if they sense dismissal, even the most logical argument will fall on deaf ears. But what happens when we ignore this wisdom? Imagine this: a heated discussion with a close friend or colleague. You interrupt, dismiss their point mid-sentence, and present your own with confidence. Perhaps you think you've won the argument. Yet, days later, you notice a subtle change in their behavior: less openness, less warmth. Over time, the relationship weakens, all because one moment of dismissal planted the seed of resentment. Now multiply that scenario across every conversation, every interaction. What might it cost you, professionally, personally, emotionally, to disregard the value of listening? This isn't just about being polite. It's about preserving trust, strengthening relationships, and cultivating wisdom through dialogue. Consider a story of a leader who never learned this lesson. A manager, brilliant and capable, who dismisses their team's input during meetings. Each time someone offers a suggestion, they're met with interruptions, a quick rebuttal, or outright dismissal. At first, the team complies out of fear or habit, but slowly, innovation dies. People stop contributing. Resentment builds. The manager, despite their intelligence, becomes isolated, deprived of the very insights and collaboration that could make their projects thrive. Now contrast this with a leader who listens deeply, even when they disagree. They encourage discussion, ask thoughtful questions, and acknowledge opposing viewpoints. Even when they ultimately decide on a different course of action, their team feels valued and respected. Which leader would you rather follow? And which approach reflects true intelligence? So let me ask you, how do you handle situations where you strongly disagree with someone? Do you find yourself leaning into the conversation, seeking to understand, or retreating into defensiveness? And here's a challenge. Think of the last time someone truly surprised you with their perspective. How did it change your thinking? Share your experience in the comments. The Stoics teach us that listening is not just a tool for communication, but a practice of self-discipline. It reminds us that we don't have all the answers, and that every interaction is an opportunity to grow. 3. Refrain from complaining without purpose. Complaining is deceptively comforting. It feels like a release, a way to momentarily unburden ourselves. Yet, have you ever noticed how habitual complaining begins to erode not just our mood, but our credibility? The more we complain aimlessly, the more others start to see us not as problem solvers, but as victims of circumstance. An intelligent person understands that complaining without purpose doesn't change the situation. It only amplifies the problem. Words carry energy, and when we scatter negativity through empty complaints, we weaken our resolve and diminish our ability to inspire others. This doesn't mean we should suppress our emotions or avoid difficult conversations. Instead, the Stoic approach is to channel dissatisfaction into meaningful action. The question isn't, "Why did this happen to me?" but, "What can I do about it?" Seneca, one of the most eloquent voices of Stoicism, wrote, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This principle reminds us that life is filled with challenges, many of which are outside our control. Complaining about those challenges does nothing to change them. What matters is our response. Do we dwell on the problem, or do we focus on finding a solution? The Stoics viewed complaints as wasted energy unless they served a purpose. Purposeful expression of frustration is valid. It can bring attention to injustice or rally others toward a cause. But when complaints become habitual, unfocused, or self-pitying, they pull us further from clarity and action. Marcus Aurelius also echoes this wisdom in Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This reminds us that while we may not control circumstances, we control our reactions, and through them, our ability to grow. Let's break this down with a relatable scenario. Imagine two colleagues working on a demanding project. Both encounter the same obstacles: tight deadlines, shifting expectations, and uncooperative team members. The first colleague spends their energy venting. They complain to anyone who will listen about how unfair the workload is, how the team isn't pulling its weight, and how management is clueless. Though their frustration is valid, their negativity becomes a drain on themselves and those around them. Over time, people avoid them. Their complaints have become noise. Now, consider the second colleague. They also feel the weight of the project, but approach the situation differently. Instead of complaining, they take a moment to reflect. What part of this is within my control? They address the issues constructively, perhaps speaking to the team about redistributing tasks or suggesting process improvements to management. The difference is clear. The first person sought release, the second sought resolution. One diminished their credibility, the other enhanced it. So here's a thought-provoking question for you. Do you think complaining ever serves a purpose? Is there a difference between voicing frustration constructively and falling into a cycle of negativity? Think about the last time you caught yourself or someone else complaining. Was it helpful, or did it drain the situation of energy? Share your perspective in the comments below. And as you reflect, remember this Stoic mantra. Focus not on what's outside your control, but on what you can change. Complaints, when left unchecked, anchor us to the problem, but purposeful words, they can move us toward the solution. 4. No empty promises. Promises are powerful. They shape how others perceive us, define our relationships, and reflect our integrity. But here's the catch. When promises go unfulfilled, they don't just fade into the background, they actively erode trust. A single broken promise can unravel years of credibility, leaving others doubting not just your words, but your character. An intelligent person understands this. They know that over-promising, or worse, making hollow assurances, can often do more harm than staying silent. Silence, at least, maintains neutrality. But an empty promise creates expectations, and when those expectations aren't met, the fallout can be damaging. The Stoics valued action over words. They believed that a person's character isn't measured by what they say they'll do, but by what they actually do. Promises, then, are not to be taken lightly. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, offered this timeless guidance. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This statement applies perfectly to the issue of promises. Instead of focusing on what we say, we should direct our energy toward what we do. A good person doesn't need to declare their intentions. Their actions speak for them. The Stoics emphasized living a life of virtue, where honesty and reliability are paramount. Making a promise is easy. It requires only words. But keeping one demands effort, discipline, and follow-through. And the more we honor our commitments, the more others come to trust and respect us. Let's consider a story, a scenario that's all too common. Imagine a friend who promises to help you move on the weekend. It's a big commitment, but they assure you they'll be there. You plan your schedule around their promise. You arrange the truck, pack the boxes, and count on their help to get it all done. But when Saturday rolls around, they cancel at the last minute. They offer a half-hearted excuse. Something came up, they forgot, or they simply can't make it anymore. You're left scrambling, frustrated, and wondering why they even offered to help in the first place. Now think about how that moment shapes your future interactions with them. The next time they make a promise, you hesitate to believe it. Even if their intentions were good, their failure to follow through has created a small crack in the foundation of your trust. Over time, if this pattern continues, those cracks deepen. Contrast this with another friend who only makes promises they can realistically keep. They don't overcommit, even if it means saying no in the moment. But when they say they'll show up, they always do. That consistency builds a solid, unwavering trust. The difference isn't just in their actions, it's in their understanding of the weight of a promise. Now it's your turn to reflect. How do you ensure that you only make promises you can keep? Is it better to risk disappointing someone up front by saying no, or to overpromise and risk letting them down later? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And here's a challenge for you. Over the next week, pay close attention to the promises you make, big or small. Are they realistic? Are they necessary? By aligning your words with your actions, you'll not only strengthen your relationships, but also your own sense of integrity. 5. Don't deny your mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable. No matter how intelligent, prepared, or capable we are, we'll all face moments where we falter, misjudge, or fail. But here's the defining truth. Intelligence isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about how we handle them. Denying a mistake may feel like a shield in the moment, a way to preserve pride or avoid blame. Yet, over time, denial often compounds the error, tarnishing trust and credibility. On the other hand, owning up to mistakes, though difficult, is a hallmark of true strength. It reflects humility, accountability, and a willingness to grow. An intelligent person knows that mistakes are not the enemy. It's our reaction to them, whether we embrace the opportunity to learn or retreat into denial, that defines our character. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who lived through great personal trials, reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond that counts. This wisdom underscores the essence of Stoicism. External events, including our mistakes, are often outside our control. But how we respond, whether with courage, honesty, and determination, or with fear and denial, is entirely up to us. For the Stoics, mistakes were not failures, but feedback. They viewed them as opportunities to practice resilience, humility, and self-improvement. Marcus Aurelius echoed this idea when he wrote, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it." In other words, our mistakes don't define us. Our response to them does. Let's examine a well-known public figure who demonstrated the power of owning mistakes. Former NBA superstar Magic Johnson. In 1991, Johnson made a startling announcement. He was retiring from basketball after being diagnosed with HIV. At the time, there was widespread misinformation and stigma surrounding the disease. But instead of hiding or denying his diagnosis, Johnson confronted it head-on. He publicly acknowledged his situation and used his platform to educate others, breaking down misconceptions about HIV. His willingness to face his challenge openly, rather than denying or minimizing it, transformed him into a global advocate for health awareness and acceptance. Through his honesty, Johnson not only maintained the respect of his fans, but also inspired millions by showing that taking responsibility, even in the face of immense personal difficulty, can lead to something greater than the mistake or misstep itself. On a more everyday level, think about the people in your own life who've owned their mistakes. Perhaps a friend who apologized sincerely after an argument, or a colleague who admitted an oversight and worked to fix it. Didn't their honesty make them more trustworthy in your eyes? Now it's your turn to reflect. What's one mistake you've made that taught you a valuable lesson? Was it an oversight at work, a moment of lost temper, or a decision you later regretted? More importantly, how did you respond? And what did you learn? Share your experience in the comments. Remember, the Stoics didn't see mistakes as failures, but as stepping stones to wisdom. By owning our errors, we not only grow stronger, but also inspire others to do the same. 6. Don't overshare future plans. There's a certain thrill in sharing your goals with others. It feels validating, like you're taking the first step toward achievement. But have you ever noticed how speaking too soon about your plans can sap your motivation? Here's why. When we talk excessively about what we intend to do, we often substitute words for action. It's as if the act of sharing tricks our mind into feeling we've already accomplished something. Worse, oversharing invites unnecessary scrutiny, doubt, or even criticism from others, which can derail us before we've even begun. An intelligent person knows when to speak and when to remain silent. By keeping their plans close, they protect their energy and focus, ensuring their actions, not their words, speak for them. Epictetus, the master of practicality in Stoicism, famously advised, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." This wisdom applies not just to our beliefs, but also to our ambitions. Instead of talking about what you're going to do, focus on doing it. Let your actions demonstrate your intentions. For the Stoics, restraint wasn't about secrecy. It was about preserving integrity and avoiding distractions. They understood that silence often carries more power than speech. By working diligently and quietly toward a goal, we stay aligned with our purpose, free from the influence of external opinions. Imagine two individuals with the same goal, starting a business. The first person immediately shares their vision with everyone they meet. They talk about their future plans on social media, announce timelines, and seek validation from their peers. But as time goes on, they face criticism from others who don't understand their vision, questions that plant self-doubt, and even pressure to meet arbitrary deadlines they shared too soon. Their initial excitement wanes under the weight of external expectations, and progress stalls. Now consider the second person. They quietly research, plan, and take incremental steps without broadcasting their intentions. By the time they share their success, their business is already thriving. Their actions speak louder than any announcement could. And because they avoided premature scrutiny, they had the freedom to adjust their path without external judgment. The lesson: sharing prematurely can dilute focus and invite unnecessary distractions, while working quietly builds resilience and ensures genuine progress. Now it's time to reflect. Have you ever regretted sharing a plan too soon? Maybe you told someone about a goal only to feel deflated when their reaction wasn't as supportive as you hoped. Or perhaps the pressure of meeting the expectations you set publicly caused stress and slowed your progress. Share your experiences in the comments. And here's something to try. For your next big goal, resist the urge to announce it. Instead, take the first steps quietly and see how it feels to let your actions speak for themselves. We've explored 6 things an intelligent person never says, each grounded in the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. 1. Avoid boasting about knowledge. True intelligence speaks through actions, not words. 2. Never dismiss others' opinions. Listening fosters understanding and respect. 3. Refrain from complaining without purpose. Channel challenges into constructive action. 4. No empty promises. Integrity is built on aligning words with deeds. 5. Don't deny your mistakes. Accountability is the hallmark of growth. 6. Don't overshare future plans. Let your actions reveal your intentions. Together, these principles remind us that words are not just fleeting sounds, they're reflections of who we are. The Stoics teach us that our words matter. They shape how we interact with the world and influence how the world sees us. By choosing our words wisely, with intention and integrity, we elevate not only our conversations, but also our character. Remember Epictetus's timeless reminder: first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. Wisdom isn't just about what we avoid saying, it's about the mindfulness and clarity we bring to every interaction. If this video resonated with you, now's the time to act. Empower this channel by hitting that like button, subscribing for more insights, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a conversation. Which of these 6 points spoke to you the most? How will you apply it in your life? And remember, wisdom isn't just knowing, it's practicing. See you in the next video, where we continue this journey toward clarity, resilience, and growth.